Hello everyone, this is 𝗔𝗴𝗲𝗲𝗃 and welcome to my channel. In case you are new to this channel, please subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon to get notified on my future videos and sessions. Today we have with us Mr. 𝗔𝗴𝗲𝗃, currently working as a data science manager at one of the MNCs, having more than 11 years of industry experience. I have been knowing Jitin for quite a while, and today we have finally got hold of him for this particular session where he will show us some light on Microsoft Excel. As we all know that MS Excel is one of the top tools for data analysis, and the built-in pivot tables are arguably the most popular analytic tool. MS Excel is being used by most of us since quite a long time. Still, more than 80%, or I would say 85% of the capabilities are still unknown to us. We are still not exploring those capabilities, or all those capabilities will be going through in this particular session. So in this session, as I said, you will learn how to perform data analysis using Excel's most popular features. So let's get quickly started on this. In case you have any questions in the middle of the session, you can post it as a comment or in the live chat, and we will try to get back to you with the answers. If your questions are somehow missed by us, you can definitely reach out me or Jitin directly. Links to both of our LinkedIn profiles will be shared in the description as well. So I'll now hand over the session to Jitin. Jitin, you can start with your introduction and take this session ahead.
Sure, Satyajit. Uh, Hi, everyone. So I'm Jitin. I've been working in manufacturing and data science domain for a while, and I've been using extensively Excel in most of my work area, and I try to explore more of it. So I'm planning to share whatever whatever knowledge I've gained. So I'll just quickly go and show what the agenda is like, and explain what I'm going to show today. So it's more of understanding how Excel is, the layout of Excel. Then I'll be showing some shortcuts, not extensively all of it, but the most commonly used. Personally, I use most commonly some shortcuts which are very helpful. Then I'll show some numeric description like mean, median, mode, variance, sigma, covariance, correlation, all those things. And then I'll also start with cell reference. What is an absolute reference? What is a relative reference? And how do we use it? All those things. And some of the visualization charts and some visualization using conditional formatting. All those things I'll be showing today. And when it comes to data preparation or data analysis sort of thing, we'll be looking at Vlookup, HLookup, SumIF, all those things. And for the data manipulation, we'll be going through the tables, slicers and pivot tables, etc. Also, we'll be going through some of the data input uh, facilities that is there in Excel using text or web. Also, I'll be showing a basic VBA, a function of our own, how we can write a function of our own. So that is the whole content that I'm going to take today. So let me start with a basic Excel layout. So this is how an Excel look like. So we have a sheet and we have a lot of cells. So these are called cells and we have sheets. We can have as many sheets as we need. So that's how a normal Excel layout look like. So why I'm telling this is it has its importance when it comes to VBA. So these cells are objects, and then we have sheets, and we have an application as Excel. So it's like Excel is an application, and then inside the Excel application we have so many sheets. Inside each sheet we have so many cells, and for each cell it has its own characteristic like background color, font, the text, all these things. So let me just start with some of the shortcuts which I normally use. So the first is to go to the bottom of the cell, the bottom of the sheet, or bottom of the content. So in this particular sheet, there is nothing. It's an empty sheet. So to go to the bottom of the sheet, we use control and down arrow, which will take us to the last cell. To go up, control and up arrow. Similarly, to go to the right, the end of the column. Since we don't have any data, it will go to the end of the sheet column. So here, if I press control and right arrow, it will go to the end of the column. So it is XFT. And to go back, it's control left arrow. So this is a very basic shortcut we use extensively uh, to go down and go up and to navigate through the Excel data. Let me just put down some data, let's say age for different ages. I'm just using a function, a rand. So rand between is a function where we can get a random number between bottom and top. So let's take some data. So this is the age between 20 and 60. Now if so you have two methods to fill in, or more than two. So one method is when you move your cursor to this point where you see the dark dot, we can scroll down, click and drag it down, and you get the data filled up. Now there's another method where you can select the first filled in data and scroll down using shift, holding your shift, select the cell and then press Ctrl D, which fills in the entire data. As you can see, the data keeps changing for every entry I do because it's randomly creating for every time I change anything in the cell. So for keeping it same, I am copying it and pasting it. So we have different options here. So let me just quickly go through each option. So this is a simple normal paste where we paste everything. If we select formulas, we paste only formulas. If we select values, we paste only the values, which is what I'm going to do here because I have formulas which I need to change it to the values. So similarly, we can paste the formats, comments, or validation. There's one feature which we normally use when we copy from one sheet to the other sheet, where we want to retain the column width. So we can paste the column width as well. So here I'm going to paste the values. So now I have all the values here. So this is a numerical data that I have. So I just will show the mean, median, and mode. So mean is the average of the data. So we have a function called average, and we can select the entire data and then press enter, which will give the mean. Now for the median, we have a function called median. Median. So for every function, to find every function, we start with an equal sign or a plus sign, and we have got median. Or the other way to go is you can click on fx and choose whichever you want. So there are all the functions, or you can search for a particular function that you want. So here I'm just typing it median and select all the. So there are two ways. So either you can select it using your mouse, or as I said, we can use the shortcut. Click on first one, select Control and Shift, and then the down arrow, which will select the entire content until the next space. So currently we don't have any space in between, so we can use this method. So I'll repeat it again. Select the first cell, Control Shift, and then down arrow. So which is very easy when we have a lot of data. We don't have to scroll and select a particular data. So we have the median as 41. Now when it comes to mode, we have different options. So we have got a single mode and we have got a multiple mode. Sometimes it happens that we have a data with more than one mode. So in that case, we can choose multiple mode, or for single mode, we can choose single mode option. So I'm choosing the single mode option and then selecting the numbers. So I'm using the control shift down and it selects everything. We have got single mode. So if you want to choose the multiple mode, we need to select, let's say we are selecting this many number of cells and then mode multiple. Then select all the data. Here we are trying to get the data in multiple cells. So it's not a normal enter that we need to do here. In this particular case, we need to press Control, Shift, and Enter, which gives the data for. So let's say if we have more than one mode, then we will get all the data over here. So since we have only one, we get only one. So it's an array formula, what we call, which has a bracket as you can see here. So for this, you need to press Control, Shift, and Enter. So that's one thing I wanted to show. So that's the mean, median, and mode. Now, when it comes to standard deviation and variance, we have two options. So there are standard deviation and variance for a particular population and for a particular sample. So when we have entire data for the entire population, then we use variance or standard deviation for population, which is represented by dot p. So we again choose the entire data in this case, which is the variance for the population. For variance for the sample, we use dot s and choose all the data. So we get the variance for sample. So this is the variance for population. So as you can see, this was not showing entirely. So what I did is I found a midpoint between C and D over this line. It shows a double arrow. Just double click. So we can see the entire content, or you can manually adjust it as well. But it's very popular when you have a lot of data. Just need to double click and it will adjust by itself. Now for this is the sample. Now for the standard deviance, right? We have standard deviation. Again, we have for population dot p, which we use for population. Population is used when we have the entire population data. When we are taking a sample, then it's only a standard deviation of sample, which is stddev.s. Again, for selecting, I'm using a control shift down arrow. So this is how we can take a standard deviation and variance for a particular column. Now let me just quickly go through one more option where I have a salary as well. So I'll just pull in some salary. So let's say we have these salaries over here now. I'll just sort it with respect to. So there are. So I'll be just going through different things here and there, so you can slowly follow what I said. So I just created a salary, random salary. Again, I'm going to copy and paste it as paste special, and I'm going to do it as values, or we can simply select this. So I have just pasted these formulas as values. Now I'm just going to sort the age and see how it looks. So for that, I'm selecting the entire data. So easy way to do it is you can click anywhere in the data set and just use Control and A, which will select the entire data set. That's a easy way to select the entire data set. Now let's say we have a gap here. Now if we press down here and press Control A, it selects only that data until it finds a gap or a separation. Now if you need to select this, you need to select separately. Now if you click in between these two, it selects the entire data. So that's one thing that we need to be careful when we use Control A, which will not select the entire population if there is a gap. The same thing applies to the shortcut of Control down arrow as well. When we press Control down arrow, it stops there because we have a space just after that. So this Control down arrow and up arrow can be used to find out the last row in a cell. For example, to go to the last bottom of the cell, I click on any of the empty column. As you can see, it's all empty. And if you go to Control down arrow, it goes to the bottommost cell. Now if you click on B, you can see here the average, count and sum. So it's very evident that we have data in column B. So select column B and press Control up arrow, where we'll reach the last entry. So that is one method where we can find the last row if we have a lot of data in our file. Alright. Now let me pull in a data set using data import function. So when we go to the data tab, we have got different options here to pull in the data. We've got from access, from web, from text. So currently I'm trying to pull in some data using text method. Let me just check if I have some data. Okay, so I have created some sample data over here. I'm just opening it. I'm going to create a text file out of this data. So we have a text file like this. I'm just trying to import this text file into Excel. So here I'm going to data from text. And I'm going to select that particular file. And I say import. When I say import, it gives an option. I simply don't look at the operator. I just goes and click on finish. So it asks where do you want to pull the data. I say existing workbook and A1. So I'll come to this dollar symbol in a moment. So I have this data over here. So as you can see, it pulls in the data, but this doesn't make any sense at all because there are so many things in it which is not pretty clear. Now, since we saw the dollar symbol, let me talk about the dollar symbol now. So each cell in Excel has got an identity of its own. So if you click on any cell, you will see here this cell address, which is Q13. So this is basically identified by using column Q and the row 13. So any cell, if you click, has its own reference, which is address, cell address, which is F5 in this case. So absolute reference is when we have this particular address kept constant. Let me give you an example. We have a running data like this. Now we have a constant which is 40. Now we need to multiply each of these numbers with 40. So what I do is I put an equal symbol, then I click on E1, then I put a star symbol which is multiplication, an asterisk, then I choose the 40 which is a constant and I put enter. So I got 1 times 40 as 40. Now if I drag it to autofill this data, as you can see, all these are coming as 0. The reason is because this particular formula is referring to this cell E2 and the cell I2. So we need to keep this as constant. How to keep it constant? So we use dollar symbol to keep it constant. When we put $I, the I does not change. And when we say $1, The 1 does not change. So now when you use autofill, you can see all the data is multiplied by constant, and everywhere this is $I, $1. Somebody has asked a question on explain for population and sample. Sachin, a population is when, for example, let's say, it's not ideal in all the cases. I'm giving an example. Let's say we have to take a COVID data for a country, say India. If you take the data from each and every person and we cover all the data and we have the entire data, then we call it the data for the population, which is ideally not possible, I would say, to cover the entire set of people in a country. So what we usually do is we take sampling. We go to random sample of people. We collect the data from them, which is called a sampling. So that's when we use the standard deviation population for a population and for a sample. I hope that's clear. So a population is not ideal for a large set of data, but if we have the data for entire set, then we can use it. Yeah. So coming back to this point of relative and absolute reference. So when we use a dollar symbol, we are actually making it a constant. We are not letting it move. That's where we make it. We call it. It's an absolute reference. It's not changing with respect to the cells that we change that we drag. So that's where the dollar symbol comes in the picture. I'll give you a good example later. Now let me try to import the data again. This time I'm going to select a. So as we can see, each name is followed by a dash and followed by west. So probably a region, then followed by a dash again. Then it looks like a date, then again a dash, then NV looks like a state, then again a dash and another. So it looks like the separator here is a dash. So we can ideally try to separate it with respect to a dash. So here this is called a text to column separation. So we are trying to separate the text to different columns. So for this purpose, I am going to select the delimited option, not a fixed length, because I don't want fixed length is when you want to separate the text to a column with respect to the number of characters. So as per the width. So if you select fixed width, you need to select the width like this. It will split with so from here to here it will be one column, here to here it will be a second column. So this is not what we want to do in this case. So here we need to delimit using a dash. So here we don't have a dash option, so we can manually choose a dash option here. So as you can see, the names are separated, the region is separated, dates are separated, state is separated. I'm not sure of the two. We'll call it something after finishing. So once we pull it, it again asks where do you want. I say J1, and we have the data filled in. Now if we do a quick look through the data, we can see that some of the dates are in numbers, some of the dates are in some other format. This is because the country difference. In some countries they use MMDDYY format, and some countries use DDMMYY format. So that's the reason why this is filled in with a different 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 format. Now let me show you a good um, useful thing which I usually use. Let me consider only this column A, which has let me just name it before that. Each column, let's say this is the name, this is the, because this is a useful data state. Let me put this as age and salary. All right, yeah. As I said, we can't see the state completely. So what I do is I just select the entire cell or the data set where we have. This is the better option. You choose the entire cell, click on anywhere between the columns to get this symbol, and then double click it and it will adjust by itself. So we have this data. I am currently going to take only this data. I'm just copying it into a new cell so that I am not going to, or maybe I can just do this thing. I can add two columns here. So adding a column is pretty easy. Right click here and say insert. So that adds a column into the Excel. So I am just adding two columns because I want to split this name to first name and last name. So how do we do that? There are different ways to do it. One is that we can check for a space and then split it with respect to first space and then do that. But Excel is giving us a very good feature where we can, it identifies by itself and fills the data um, as per the. I'll show it. It is very clear when I show it. So, but there are flows which which again I'll be showing how to check it. So here is the thing. So we have the first name as Rosario Buck. For this, I'm going to copy his name over here. Now we got Rosario here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the entire cell below. How do I do that? Either I can go and select everything, but this might take a long time if you have a lot of data. The best way to do is the way I do usually is select the data which is there and select the column which has the entire data. Control and down arrow will will put pull the active cell to the last row of the particular column. Now we need to fill this column over here. So I select that cell, that particular cell, and as you can see, there's no data below this. Now I'm going to press Control, Shift, and up arrow, which in fact selects all the cells in that particular column. And as you can see, it selects up to the last non-filled cell, which is Rosario in this case. Now I want to tell Excel that I want it to be splitted with respect to first name and last name as what I did as an example. Now go to data. So you have you might be in a home tab or an insert tab. So go to data. You can see flash fill option here. The shortcut is Control E. So either you can select here or use Control E to fill the data. So the Excel fills the data automatically for you. So it looks like a random search looks like it has filled in the data properly. Now let me try to pull in the last name. Here I'm going to copy the last name. Again I'm going to go the last cell, going up, Control E, brings me the second name. Now I want to check if this is properly done. There's nothing missing. How do I do that? So here's the thing that I usually do. So this is the logic. First name space last name should be equal to this. If that is the case, it is done properly. Again, I'll explain. First name space the last name is equal to the full name. If that is the case, it is done properly. So now the question is, how do we check? How do we get first name space last name? So there are two different ways to do it. Excel has got a function called concatenate. So as you can see, concatenate takes in multiple arguments. Text 1, which I say Rosario. Text 2, which I say is my space. So for space, I use double quotes and a space bar, then double quotes. And next thing is buck. This is one way to get the data. This is another way to get the data, which is using AND. So we use equal to, click on the data we want, put an ampersand symbol, double quotes, space, double quotes, and then an ampersand symbol, then the second name. So here, first text is B3, which is Derek, the first name. Then the second text is a space. So to concatenate, we are using ampersand symbol. and again the last name as C3. The control E, there's a question, control E. So it is a newer addition from Excel 2013 that they have added. If that doesn't work, I'll let you know how this, what is the second way to do it. I'll show it just after this. So now I've got the first name space last name. So it's ampersand symbol which concatenates the texts. Now I just double click here, which fills in the entire data. Now the thing is, I need to check if this column is equal to this column. If not, we have not done it properly. So we are equating this to this and press enter. So what I'm doing is selecting D2 and selecting A2 with an equal symbol and press enter. So it will give values for true and false. So as you can see, it's all true. So if you have 500 or 1000 sets of data or more than that, how do we check entire true and false? For that, we can use a filter option. So again, to filter, we can select the entire data and then go to data tab and use filter, or you have in home tab, you have filter over here. So there are two ways you can do it. Either go to home tab and use filter, or go to data tab and use filter. Now, usually again, this is one of the shortcut that I usually use, because a filter is the most commonly used thing for any data analysis, for sorting, for filtering, for anything. It helps in a very good way. So another shortcut here, it's Control Shift L. So that gives the filter. Again, one more Control Shift L will remove the filter. So it's like a toggle button. Control Shift L brings in, and Control Shift L will remove the filter. So I'm filtering it. I'm putting a filter now. Now I can check if there are any faults here. And if there are any faults, let's say one of the data is not pulled in properly. So as you can see, I'll have a false here now. Now what I can do is I can remove all the ticks and select only the false ones to see what has gone wrong. So this is one method where you can check if the data is pulled in properly or not. Now coming to the point, how to split it if there is no option for hash fill. So there are methods. So one method is to find if there is a space, and from the first letter till the space, we can split the cell. So I'm going to show it here, how to take the first name, and you can work out for the last name. Or if you want me to show it, I can do that. So first name is from the left of the data till you find a space. So to find a space, you can use a function called find. Excel is so easy that it gives an option. It tells you what need to be selected and what need to be filled. So if you go to find function, it says it need to find a text. We need to find space. So I put double quotes and space. Then it asks within which text. So we can simply select here and then select the text, which is 𝗔𝗴𝗲, but in this case A2. Then it's asked from where it has to start. Should it start from beginning, or should it start from any after fourth digit or fourth character? Or so in our case, we need to start from beginning. So we can leave it empty and say okay. So it says the eighth character. It says the eighth character is a space. So now we got 8 as a number. Now I'm just copying this, or let me just, so I'll just put this as find. So this is, again, I'll show you, there are formatting tabs here where you can format your data to centralize, to left, to right, to middle, the horizontally, center, down, up. So I'm just putting it central so everyone can see the data. So here, as I said, 8 is the 8th character is the space. So if you count manually, you can see that the 8th character is a space. So we need to pull in the data until the 7th characters. So we have a function called left, which is used to pull the data, pull the characters, these many characters from left. So here again, if you click on FX, it'll open up the dialog box. So it is asking us to select the text. So Excel is so easy that it tells you what it needs as an input. So you can select the text which you want. Then it asks for number of characters that you want to split. So we want to split until the 7th. We need until the 7th character. So this will be find minus 1 character. So here it gives you the result. You can see it gives you, if I put P2, it gives a space over here. You can clearly see. So it is up to 7 character that we need. Now if I double click this, I have all the find characters for that. And if I double click this, I have all the first names. This is one way wherein you can find the first name if you don't have a flash fill option. I suppose all the newer versions of Excel has this flash fill, which is very easy to use. So that's one method how you can. So similar way you can use right to find the second. So if just for as an example, I can show you that right of this text comma 4 is the last name. So this I leave it to you how to find the logic to find a space and how to find the how to try to get to the number 4 using the length and the space. I suppose you can figure it out. It's a simple math to get that. All right. So yeah, let me just delete all this because I'm going to use this particular data later. Okay. Now. All right. So I've split it into first name and last name. I've covered a bit of um, relative and absolute values, which I'm going to explain a little more here now. Um, so here I'm just taking an example, just giving it a color and giving some numbers here. 2, 4. Again, if you fill a series like 2 and 4, and then if you drag it, Excel finds out the series and fills it accordingly in a linear basis. So 2, 4, 6, 8, and it fills automatically. If you write the first two numbers in a sequence, and then Excel will do the job for you. All right. So I'm trying to do some. I'm trying to show some absolute reference. Where is here? Yeah. All right. So in these cells, what I'm looking for is the sum of. So sum of the values in these cells. For example, here I want the value of 8 plus 15, and here I want the value for 10 plus 25. So I'll just walk you through how to do that with a single formula. Right. All right. So what I'm going to do is I need this plus this here. I hope it's very clear now what I've done. So here the formula is what I've done is I've done M1 plus L2. So I'm going to add M1 plus L2. Now, when I drag down, what it does is it adds the data just above. So here 10, how I'm getting 10 is 5 and 5 it's adding. But basically I need to add 5 and 2. So somehow we need to lock it to this particular cell. How do I do that? So here that particular cell is M1. So I want to lock it to the particular row. I don't want the row to be changed. So I want to lock the row number 1. For that I can use dollar. So here again we have got a shortcut here to make the entire cell entire formula as absolute, we can use function and F4, which will log the entire formula. So if you keep doing it, it'll be changed. Yeah, it'll be dollar. Yeah, exactly. So it'll be keep on changing. If I keep pressing F4, see, you can see the dollar has gone to M now. So if I keep on doing it, it keeps changing. So you can do that way. So I'm currently locking it to the first row using dollar here. Now I locked it to first row. If I drag it, you can see it's working properly. So 27 plus 2 is 29. Now my question is, if I drag it to the right, is it working properly? As you can see here, we are getting 9. In fact, we need 4 plus 3 here, which is 7. Again, what here the calculation here, what we are doing is we are adding 4 plus 5. Somehow we need to lock this, which is the column. So we need to lock column L. So again, in the formula, we need to lock the column L, for which we'll use a dollar symbol and make it absolute to column L. Now, if I copy this particular formula and paste it everywhere, you can see it's doing the job. So a single formula, I just copied and pasted to the entire cell, and it is doing the job. As you can see, 6 plus 13 is 19. Now, there's one more shortcut that I want to show you. For example, if let's say if we have a lot of data in this and we need to find out which row it belongs to. Let's say this 90700 belongs to which person. So there can be a confusion sometimes as to where it belongs. So usually what we do is we select this select this row like this to understand this data belongs to D. Now there's a shortcut for that. You select any cell and use shift and space. Use shift and space. It will select the entire row of the particular active cell. So shift space will select. Now to select the entire column, it is control and space bar. Control and space bar will select the entire column. This is again mostly used in terms of finding out a particular data belongs to a particular person or a particular cell. So instead of going all the way back and finding out if it's the same color or a different color and then selecting it, we can simply use shift and space bar to select the entire column. So it's again widely used when you are extensively using Excel. So similar way, if I want to check this, I use a shift and space, and I can see that it belongs to 21, and I can do a control and space belongs to 8. So 21 is 20 plus 8 is 29. So that's one method that can find which column and row particular data. So that's the absolute reference, which is very useful. I'll show you another example of that, where we use again month and sales. Let's say from January. Excel has its intelligence to understand if it's a month, and it's automatically pulling the data. Again, I'll select random number between say 10,000 to 1 lakh. So it creates a random number, and I'm just copying and pasting it so that we get the values. Now here, let's say we don't want it in a figure like 58, 78, 50. We want it more of data with respect to hundreds. Let's say for this particular example, we want it in data with respect to hundreds. So how do we do that? We have an option in Excel which is a round. So we use a round option and use the number to round the figures. So let me show you an example. 123 point. So there's this number. I've got. Now if I need to round it to two decimals here, I use a round function and select the number and say up to 2 digits. You don't really need, so when you use a lot of Excel, you don't really need to close this bracket at all. um, I'll show it again how I do it, because you can practice it so that it's very easy. Uh, you don't have to type a lot of things. So what I do is for round particularly, I'll just show you. If you put a plus equal to symbol and start typing ROU, you get round. Now what you do is just press the tab function. It brings in the bracket everything. So you don't have to type the bracket and all this. Then select the particular cell you want. You can use a arrow key as well to select that, and then use a. So we need 2 digits. Now you don't have to particularly close this bracket. That is one good thing with Excel. You just have to say enter. It does the job for you. So you can see the bracket is closed. So it's like when you use extensively, you don't have to waste time putting all these brackets and all this. So here I have rounded to 2 digits. Now if I need to round it to 3 digits, use again use 3. So I'm doing the same thing. Now how do I get 120? So it's basically rounding to the tens. So how do we do that is use a round, it's the same round, then use a number, and for the digit select minus numbers. So minus 1 will give you 120. Minus 2 will round it to the next hundreds. So that's the way you can round it to hundreds or tens as you like. Not only to the decimals, you can even round it to tens or hundreds. So here I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to round it to the hundreds using this function. So as you can see, 150 is rounded to 200. So you have option to round up and round down. So round up is the usual. It'll round up to the next number. So let's say the number is 123.4, and I'm using a round up here with no 0 digits. So what it does is even though point 0.4 goes to when you use a normal round, it goes to 123, but you're rounding it 1 digit up. No matter what the number is, you round it to the next digit. And round down is when you have more than 0.5, it it round downs to the number below that. So it round downs to the 123. So that's the round up and round down. Now, if you need only 123 here, you have an option called trunk. When you use trunk, a number of digits is optional usually. When you use trunk, it actually eliminates the decimals. So whatever the decimal is, it just gives you. It's like if you know Python, it's like it's taking only the integer value of it. So it's basically taking the integer value, not the float. So that's what is the trunk is doing. It's again a function that we use sometimes, like wherever is required. Usually we go with round. So those are the functions where we use round up and round down. Okay. Now I've got the sales in 100. Now let's say we need a cumulative uh, sales for each month. So I'm just showing you how we can do that. So first month it will be same. Second month it will be the sum of the above month and the current month. So this will be the sum of the above month and the current month. Now if you pull the data, so it's an autofill option. So either you can double click here and do it, or you can select the cells and do a control T. So that will give you a um, cumulative sales at the end. Now, let's say we need average sales, running average. So I'll take a running average. So running average in this case will be the same. And in this case will be the sum of these two divided by 2. And this will be sum of these 3 divided by 3. So how do we do that? So it will be basically the average of these two. Now when we drag it down, here we need the average of all the data, but we are getting only 2. This is the case where we bring the concept of absolute reference. So here what we're going to do is we are going to lock C2. So I'm going to lock it. I'm using a function, so using F4 to lock it. So most of the system now brings in a key called function. So sometimes you have to use function and F4 to achieve it. So once we do that, we are locking that particular cell. And now when we drag it, you can see this takes in the entire average. So it's a running average. How do we take for each month? So this is one case where we use absolute reference. I hope it's clear. I can show it again. We are locking the C2, the first cell, so that it remains same, and C3 varies. So when I come here, it is C2 to C4. When I come here, it is C2 to C6, and when I come here, it is C2 to C13. So we are basically locking a particular cell. We are making it absolute reference, and then taking all the other cells from there. So that's another way. That's again used when we want to calculate all this running average. Uh, yeah, that's one thing. Now let me do it a different way. Let me show you something called a VLOOKUP. A VLOOKUP is usually used when we want to find out uh, from a list um, from a list. I'll give you an example. For example, for this month, for a particular month, how much is the sales that we need to calculate? So basically, we need to find out a particular month. For example, if you for example, if you want to find for June, what is the sales? So we need to first find the June over here. That's how we usually manually do it, and then we look corresponding to that what is the sales. So we use something called a VLOOKUP here, which is again very extensively used in most of the data analysis work, wherein you have to find something with respect to something. So in this case, we need to find for the June month or for a particular month what is the sales amount. So I have a entry here for month. So the user need to fill up a month here, and we need to bring up the sales here. How do we do that? So we are using a VLOOKUP function to achieve this. So I'll just start with showing VLOOKUP again. I'll click on FX so that we get this dialog box, which is very clear. Now it requires 4 different inputs to get a VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP is vertical lookup. V stands for vertical lookup. So it's easy to understand that way. There is a HLookup also, which I'll be showing in some time. So we have got a look. So they are asking for a lookup value. So let's say we need to find for June month. So user is going to enter June, and that June is the lookup value, which will be entered by the user here. So we select that cell. Now the formula is asking to enter the table array. So it's asking for the entire table where it can find the June, starting from the column where it can find June. So if we have a lot of columns and June is in, let's say, 5th column, then we have to start from that column, that particular column. So it should be from 5th column, if it's the 5th. So here in our case, the June month is from column A. So we will select from column A. And until which column you can select how much of column you want. But in our case, we need up to sales. If you select more than that, it's all right. But it has to be included. The output which we want should be included. So we have selected the table array. Now let's go to the third input. Feel free to stop me because this is very important, very widely used, and I understand most of us will be knowing it, and there will be a lot of people who are not aware of such function. So, for the interest of them, I'm just going very slow. If you have questions, please feel free to ask or stop anytime. So, again, I'll come again from start. Lookup value, which is a value entered by the user. Table array is the array starting from the column where the lookup value exists till the column we want the output from. Now, the third option is which column should be having the output starting from the column you've selected. So in our case, the output is in the column number C. So which is the third column. So we enter number 3, which is the third column. Now lookup value, range lookup. Range lookup is basically when we want the exact result or a result matching somewhere near to that particular entry. So in this case, we want the exact result. We have the June in the particular column and we want particular sales for the particular input. So we want the exact input. So either we can type as false or you can type simply 0. Both are the same. If you want to match the data, if the match data is not there, which I will show you in some time, then we can use range lookup as 1. But in this case, where you want the exact result, choose false as the range lookup and say. So when you type 0, it will take it as a false here. You can see and say okay. So now you can see it's giving an NA. That's because we have not entered anything. Now let's go ahead and try to enter something. So when we enter something, we get the data for the particular month. Now let's say I need to choose for March. Just go ahead and choose March. It will give the data for the particular month. So this is how a VLOOKUP works. Now, to make it more user friendly, when we don't have any data, it throws some error. It says NA, which is not applicable or not available. It's basically not available. So this is a Excel defined error when it cannot find. For example, I'm trying to enter some other data. Let's say data. So such a particular thing does not exist in column number 1. If let's say we had something called data, then it will give you the value. But when you don't have it, it gives you an error in it. So how do we say to the user that such a data does not exist instead of a random error called NA? For that, we have something called if error, a function called if error. This if error gives you the value if the value is there. If it's an error, gives an error message. So I'll give you an example. So I'm choosing the cell above which has an NA, and I want to print, let's say, value not existing. All right. So when there is an error, it gives the default error message which you enter in there. Or if you wanted different data, if you want 0 as the output, you say 0. So how do you incorporate directly in here? So we have this VLOOKUP over here already. So what we need to do is we need to incorporate if error message on top of VLOOKUP. So what you do is either you can cut and keep the formula with you, or you can just start typing here if error, use a tab, it brings in the entire formula. Then value is the VLOOKUP value, and the error message is the error message that we want to type. Lookup value missing. Again, Excel has this intelligence. You don't have to put double quotes to close it. You don't have to put closing bracket to close it. You can just simply say enter, and it will tell you that it needs to be corrected to double quotes and closing bracket, which you just say yes, and it will do the job for you. So as you can see, we have made it more user friendly. Instead of throwing some random message, it throws a particular message that the lookup value is not available or not, it's missing. So if you have the data, it gives you the data. If you don't have the data, then it says that the lookup value is missing. So if error is again, you can use it when you want to present it in a dashboard kind of thing. When you want to present in a business meeting or business audience, you don't want to throw some NA values here and there. We can put the if error message and put the particular proper error message that you want to throw. The same can be used. Let's say if you want, no matter what month is minimum sales has to be 1,000, then we can go ahead and put directly 1,000 over here. So whatever data you put in here, sorry, 100. Yeah. Whatever data you put in, let's say data, it gives you 1,000, and if there is a month existing, then it gives that month particular data. So this way you can you can modify the formula. So it's basically you are adding a formula on top of another formula. So the first formula is if error. So if there is an error on VLOOKUP, then give the default value. So this is one way to do the VLOOKUP. Now let me show the HLOOKUP for the same set of data. So here what we can do is I'll just copy paste as values, and yeah. So there are different options in pasting. As I said, if I want to paste it vertically, just go paste special, and you have an option called transpose, which will excuse me, which will transpose the entire data sets when you paste it. So you have the same option. So as you can see, it just transpose the data. You have the same option available here directly. So I'll just put it right to this. So you can simply to move a data, you can simply select uh, the you select the entire data which you want to move, and then choose the border. You can see the 4 cross is coming, and then move the data. This is an easy way to change the data. Let's say you want to pull in this September data on top. You either you have to cut and paste the whole thing, or you can simply drag this particular data wherever you want. Like if you sorry, it will replace the data. If you want to put somewhere in between, you can pull in the data and push it over there. Sorry, yeah. So it's very easy method when you want to drag and drop the data. So similar way, I'm going to, so again, to select the entire data, I'm going to choose this data, pull the data all the way up. And again, to format it properly, I will select this, click anywhere in between the two columns to get this particular symbol, double click, and it will align the data for us. Now, I'm doing a similar thing with an HLOOKUP. So let me try to do it very, it's a similar way. So we use a HLOOKUP, then we choose the lookup value, we choose the table array, and we choose the row number 2 and false for the exact match. Say enter, it gives the error because there is no data when you have data for January. So it gives a particular data. So it's similar to VLOOKUP, which I have already explained, just that the horizontal wise. So that's the VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. Now let me show you something very useful. Let's say we have got age. I'll just go to a new page. We have got age and salary. And in an ideal world, let's say we have some age ranging from uh, yeah, 20, 22, maybe 25, 20, 25, up till 60. And I say the salary is 4,000 times or maybe 2000 times the age. All right, we have some data like this, some data, any data, let's say. Now we need to find, it's a kind of forecasting. We need to find how much will be the salary for a person aged 42. How do we do that? So let's say the age is here. This is the forecast salary. Again, double click to align it. Now let's say we have the age 42 and we need to find the salary. So it's basically on the linear basis that we are going to find it. So we have an option called forecast linear. So select forecast linear. Again, I'm going to click on FX so that it's very clear for everyone. We get the inputs. First one is X, which is the age which the user is going to enter, which is 42. Known Y's are the salary, which is known. If you are into machine learning language, it is the target. It is basically what we want to find. Now X's are the these are the independent variables. So that is basically our age. So when I say OK, we have 84,000. As you can see, I have multiplied with 2000 to get the salary, and it has forecasted the salary. So this is different from VLOOKUP. This actually finds out if there's any linear relationship, and with respect to that linear model that it is finding out, the data is pulled, the forecasted salary is calculated. Now let me come back to this particular data set. Just copy and paste as new here. Again, select everything, arrange. So these are the normal thing usually we do. So this is a table. This is a list of data. There is an option that we can do to convert this to a table. There are multiple ways to do it. Again, select anywhere in between the data, go to Insert tab, click on Table. It will create the table. What are the advantages of table? I'll explain that. A table is very commonly used when we want to put dashboards, very nice dashboards, and when we want to filter data with respect to dashboard. All right. So I'm going to show you how to create a table. So select the data, click on table, then you have an option. It asks if you have any table headers. So we have a table headers. Say OK, we get the data. So this is a table. Now on top of this table, we can put something called as slicers. So again, if you go to data, if you go to design, if you have an option called insert slicer. So let's say I want to choose a slicer for region and state. I'm going to put two slicers. One is for region and the other is for state. So this is something called slicer. So what it does is it sorts and filters you can do sort. You can filter the data with respect to the option that you're going to choose. For example, when you choose west, the table by itself gets sorted with respect to west. How is it useful? I'll just show you quickly how this is useful. Let me just create a scatter plot for the age and salary. How do I do that? Select age and salary, go to insert. So we have all the chart options here. Whatever chart we want to select, we can select these chart options. So we have got whole kind of different charts where I'm going to select the scatter plot right now. All right, so I've got the scatter plot. Now, just want to show you, like, we can find out a linear equation from this particular scatter plot. How do I do that? So you have options here to add elements to the particular chart. Now, I want to explain some few things here. So we have data from age say 20 till 60, and we don't have data from 0 to 20. So we actually don't have to show this region, and we don't actually have the data for uh, the age 0 to 20. So all these things can be done using a format chart, and selecting the option for axis. So select the axis options and choose the minimum and maximum values. So here we wanted the data from say 20. We can select 20, and it will give you the data from 20 to say 70. So this is one way where we can adjust the charts. So there are different different things that you can, different options that you can try out. I don't want to go through each and every option. It's very pretty much very clear if you go and try it out. There's nothing that can go wrong. Worst case is if it goes wrong, you can delete and create the entire chart once again. So I don't want to go through each and everything line by line, but this is pretty much a very basics of how it can be done. Now, all right. Now let's say we need to find out a particular line, uh, you know, uh, a, an equation for a particular line that we get with respect to that. So we have an option here. We have a quick layout option wherein you can select the linear line, linear equation from the scatter plot. Now, so we have done the scatter plot now. Now, how do we use the slicers on top of scatter plot? Uh, I'll just show you as an example. Sorry. Yeah, so if you need only the data for West, you just go ahead and click only the West. Okay, so here there's another thing I want to show. So here, as you can see, the charts got, you know, misaligned, or its width got reduced. This is because Excel has a property like where you can set. You don't want to move or change the width or height of the chart. So you can go to the properties and say don't move or size with cells. So when you hide the cell, you don't want the chart to be resized or reshaped. So you can choose that option, which will keep the chart the same. So when you choose different data, you can see the data points gets changed, the linear equation gets changed, and the R square, all the values gets changed with respect to the values, with respect to the criteria you choose. If you want to choose multiple criteria, you can hold down your control and choose multiple options. If you choose everything, you get the entire data. So this is very helpful when you want to present something to a big audience, and you want it to be very dynamic. Like when you select, the chart should change. So you can see the chart keep changing when I select a particular data. So this is one of the things very useful when you want to select the data. Now, one thing I want to quickly touch upon is the conditional formatting. Conditional formatting is again very widely used technique to find out a particular data, if it's within the limit or less or more. So that sort of thing. I'm just formatting into a dollar value. Yeah. Just I want to show you, like if there is data less than 30,000, salary is less than 30,000, I want it to be in a highlighted in a color, with a color. I'm trying to do that. From there I'll take you to a little more advanced version of a just want to touch upon a little more on the conditional formatting. So how do I do that is select the data you want to highlight, and then go to the conditional formatting option, which is in the home. Click on conditional formatting. You have different options here. So if you want to start from beginning, you can see what are the options available. You can go to new rule. So if you go to new rule, you have a set of options available. So what I'm trying to do now is, if the value is less than 30,000, it should be in different color. So here I have the option format only cells that contain cell value less than 30,000, and I want it to be formatted to a different color. I want basically highlighted to a different color. So as you can see, all these are highlighted to a different color. All these are again changed to different color because these are all considered as 0. Now this is not enough for me. I want to know the entire, I want to highlight the entire row, so not just the particular value. I want it to be for all the entire row. So how do I do that? If I go to manage rows, so it doesn't give an option directly as to where you can select the entire row. So here, how I can achieve it is, I'll show you, just try to follow me what I'm trying to do. So I'm just deleting that particular uh, conditional formatting that I've created. So if you select the first cell where you have this value, go to conditional formatting, go to new rule, go to use a formula to determine which cells to format. Now I'm going to write a formula here where I have this particular value less than 30,000, and here as you can see the dollar symbol has come in, and I don't want dollar for the row, I want dollar for the column, because I want this data, the salary data, to be less than 30,000. All right. So I'm keeping h as a constant, and 2 should vary because for each row it has to change, but for column wise it should not change because I need salary less than 30,000. And I'm formatting it to color. Say okay, and say okay. So now it has applied it, but we cannot see it. So if I go to conditional formatting and go to manage rules, I can see it applied only to H2. Now I want it to be applied to the entire content. So I select the entire content and say okay. Now as you can see, the conditional formatting is being applied to the entire row. All right. Yeah. So that is one thing I just want to show, because it's very useful uh, when we want to highlight a particular row with respect to a data. Now let me just show you another thing. We need to highlight the numbers from high to low. So how do we do that? Using conditional formatting. So again, we have an option here. So we have all these different color scales that we can use um, to format data. So as you can see, it will be color coded with respect to the value that it has. And there are also set of icons that we can usually use to uh, you know, show something as is in progress or it has completed, like that. So I'll show that as well. If I go to conditional formatting and go to icon sets, so we have got all these icon sets. Uh, these are used to show the status, as if you have completed something, or is it in, so it's kind of what stage is it. And these three is like is it pending, is it not done, or is it completed, sort of thing. So I'll just quickly show how this works. So I go to icon set, and then you can choose what sort of an icon do you want, and then you can choose, if it is to be a percentage basis, then you can choose a percentage basis, or if it is to be on a value basis, that you can also choose as a value base. using number. So let's say it has to be green when it is greater than 1, and it has to be yellow when it is less than 1 and 0, and it has to be red marked when it is equal to 0 or less than 0. So such a condition is applied. Let me just check where this one. I'm not okay. Such a condition is applied to all these sets. So when I put 1, it gives me a tick mark. When I put a 0, it gives me, and when I put somewhere around 0.5, it gives me. Now let's suppose we don't want these numbers to be seen. We just need the symbols to be seen. How do we do that? It's pretty easy. Just go there and click show icons only, which will show only the icons. So this is useful again when you create a dashboard to present it. It's very clear which is done, which is pending, which is not completed. So such a high level view it gives. So it's again a pretty cool thing that we can do. And with respect to a formula, if we keep, then whenever the value changes, it becomes automatically green. That way also we can do it. So that is a basic thing that I wanted to show on slicers and tables. Now I'll quickly touch upon pivot tables, and then I'll show a very basic VBA script how to do that. I'll be just coding it. You can just go through the code and understand. So I'll first touch upon the pivot table part. Pivot table again is used um, very widely when we need to aggregate data, we need to find data, we need to count. So we use some formulas like SumIF, CountIF formulas, which can be very easily obtained using uh, which can be very easily obtained using pivot table. I'll just quickly show you how to do a pivot table. I'll copy this data once again and move it to a new sheet. All right, I'll just paste as values, and I'll just take this. Probably I'll take this one. Yeah, so I've got the data in here. I'll just remove the dates for age and salary. All right. Yeah. So I'm going to build a pivot table based on this list of data. So how do I do that? Is again select the content, go to insert, go to pivot table. It's pretty easy. So it asks you if you want to create a new worksheet. Since we have selected entire data, we don't have to worry about this table range. We just need to say new sheet or existing sheet. If it's an existing sheet, you need to select a particular location. If it's a new sheet, it creates a new sheet. For this example, I'm going to create a new sheet with pivot table. So it creates a pivot table. To create a pivot table, you should have all the headers. This is a prerequisite to create a pivot table. Let's say we don't have one of this data and we are trying to create pivot table. Go to insert and say pivot table, and so okay. Usually it throws an error that it doesn't have a data. I think it's a new version. It's updated. Maybe in the old versions you might get an error that it requires a header. All right, so I'll show you how to get a CountIF or SumIF data from pivot table and how to do the aggregations, etc. So I'm going to pull in the region. So I need to know how many regions are there, like how many times a particular region is repeating. So for that, I've entered the region. Now I need the count of these regions like we do in SQL. So I just drag this region over to the values, and it readily gives that there are 26 people from Midwest region, 16 from Northeast, 38 from South, and 19 from West. So it's pretty easy. Just drag and drop the values, and you get the data. Now let's say instead of region, I want it for the state. Just click on the state and drag the value over here. We get the count of state. Now we need to know what is the sum of salary that what is the sum of salary that they give for a particular region. So we select the region, we select the salary, we get the sum of the salary for a particular region. Now if you want to change it, just go to this arrow over here and click on value field settings. You can get different things. You can get multiple no, you can get max, min, average. So if you want to know for average salary, a Midwest region has, so we can get this using an average. If you want to find a max, you can use a max. So it's pretty straightforward. You can choose directly um, from the data by dragging and dropping and choosing the filter. Now we can create a pivot chart on top of this using you by inserting a chart on top of the data. So we can choose any sort of um, chart. So you can see we can actually filter out uh, inside the chart itself to get the data, and it keeps changing here. So depending on the changes that you're doing in the pivot table, the chart also automatically gets updated. Again, it's kind of dynamic change that happens with respect to pivot data. So this is very basic example of pivot table. You can try out multiple types, multiple with a long set of data, and uh, you can work on it. So these are the very basic things that any data analysis that we use. Pivot table is very extensively used when we want to group data, when we want to analyze data, when we want to take count, and we want to present the data dynamically with respect. So there are different options. There are four different options here. Where if you want to put a state onto the columns, so it basically says from this particular state, from Midwest region, this is the max salary. So you get such sort of a data. Or if you want to put a filter on the state on top and select few number of state and see only that data, we can do that as well. And as you can see, all the data changes, the chart also gets changed. The data with respect to the data, the chart also gets changed. So we can do kind of different things. I've shown, I think I've shown all these four options where you have a separate filter on top when you put filters, and it comes as a column when you put it as legend. So it basically you can again sort and filter from here, and the data and chart keeps changing with respect to that. So these are very extensively used data analysis tools. Now let me move on to VBA quickly because we are almost running out of time. Maybe I'll take another say 5 to 10 minutes and wrap up the VBA thing. It's just very basic how to access VBA, how to write your own function. I'm going to show only one function. Maybe if I get an opportunity to take some more sessions, I can cover more of VBA because VBA is very powerful. It can actually do anything and everything. Pulling data from web, um, taking data from anywhere, SQL queries, you can run SQL queries, you can run shell scripts, you can in fact shut down your system. So you can do anything and everything with VBA. So it's basically based on Visual Basic. So I'll just show you how to write a particular function very quick. You can just follow along. If you have any question, you can post it or you can just directly mail or contact me. I can help you with that. So let me just close all these Excel files and start with VBA module. Satyadeep, we'll be running along 10 minutes late if that's fine for you.
Yeah, completely fine, Jitin. Just have a look at the chat box. Somebody was asking about, Agnish was asking about what if analysis. Can we try to cover it quickly, or will it take?
I think we can take move it to another session because we
Great,
are
great.
already
No,
late. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
no issue. We can have a
yeah.
following session so that we can talk about it.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll just start with some understanding of how the VBA works. So I'll just open a blank workbook. Again, as I said, just imagine you as a student sitting in a particular seat in a classroom, uh, and you are in a school. So think of that way, that you are sitting in this particular cell. This belongs to a classroom, which is this sheet, and there are so many cells in that, and there can be multiple sheets, meaning there are multiple classrooms which belongs to a particular university or college, say that is the application. So it's kind of linked thing. So it's kind of, you can think it as a tree. You have got an application, you've got different documents inside the application. So I've got an excel as an application. If I open a new workbook, book 4, I've got here, if you can see, book 3 and book 4. And if I go to view and arrange all, so you can see two different excels. So inside the excel application, I've got two different excel documents. In each excel document, I've got multiple number of sheets I can create, and each sheet has multiple number of cells, and each cell has multiple number of characters. Characters as in, it the attribute, it has some properties, like it has the font color, it has the font size, it has a font, it has the background color. So that's a basic understanding. I'm not going to cover all of it because I can't do it in a single session. So that's how it is. Now if I want to save it, there are different versions of excel that it allows you to save. If I choose desktop and if I try to save, you have a lot of options to save. So excel workbook is most commonly used from, I would say, it's a xml based workbook where you can save the data. And please note, this excel workbook cannot save any macro, whereas macro enabled workbook is is a version where you can save the macro. Binary workbook, again, you can save the macro and it will be a binary. uh, as you can see, it's a binary workbook. 97 2003 workbook is an old type of workbook where there are some limitation, some differences which I can obviously show it. I'll just try to save it so that I can show it. So when I save it, you can see if I go to the last cell, let's just open it. So if I go to the last cell, I have got only 65536 rows. And if I go to the last column, I've got only up to IV. So this is very low compared to newer version. Whereas our newer version has XFD and 10485764. So if you are having some data which is stored in Excel format and you are saving it as XLS format, 97 2003, make sure you don't exceed the row and column limit. If you exceed, you lose the data. So that is one thing that I wanted to share. Also, XLS file has the capability to store the macros. So in this, we don't have capability to store the macros in workbook. We have capability to store the macros in all these three. So I want to save it as macro enabled workbook, just so that I don't lose uh, my code. Now, what am I going to do? Let me just go to any website, any random website, um, wiki data science. I'm just trying to copy some text. Let's say this is a text I want to copy. All right. So I have pasted this particular text. So I'm going to write a function currently which is not there, which is not available in Excel. The function is I want to split it with respect to space. So I'll do it manually. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to, all right, I'll just copy to a new sheet. Go to data, text to columns, which I've already explained, fixed width, changing to delimited, go to next. With respect to space, I'm going to split. Now, given a number, I need to find out, let's say I'm giving number 8. I need the answer as users. So it basically need to split with respect to particular space, let's say, and particular character, and then I need to get that uh, particular word that is there in the particular index. So I'm going to write a function in VBA how to achieve it. Now, how to go to VBA? There are many ways to go to VBA. So you have an option, go to File, Options, go to Customize Ribbon, go to Developer, say OK. So you'll get a developer ribbon. So from here you can go to Macros or Visual Basic. So here, as you can see, there is a shortcut called Alt F11. So when you press Alt F11, you will go to the Visual Basic application window. There's another method, very easy to use. Most of the time, it's if the problem is Alt will not work in most of the systems where you have the display option configured, and if you don't have a second Alt button. So in that case, you can directly right click on any sheet and click on View Code. It will take you to the particular sheet. Now, let me try to explain what the windows are. Here you've got different types of windows. There's a local window, there's an immediate window, there's a property window, there is a VBA project window. As I said, there's a document which is book4.xlsm, which is my document inside the Excel. And it has got a workbook, which is an object, and it has got 2 different sheets. As you keep adding the sheets here, it'll update in the VBA window as well. Now, you can either write the code inside the sheet if it's particular to that particular sheet. But for my particular function, I want it to be available in all the sheets within this Excel file. So I'm going to write a custom split function where I can split the data with respect to a particular character. If you see, if I say equal to and write split, I don't have an option. It doesn't give me an option. So there is no option called split as of now. So I'm going to create an option called split, and we are going to split the data. So let me go back to Visual Basic. So it's a different window. Now I'm going to write a function as a new module. So there is something called module. I don't want to cover all these things. There are something called user form. There are class modules. So user form is like a dialog box you can create by your own. Which if you want I can cover in later stages, or you can go by yourself and understand. Currently I'm going to create a module so that I have access to everything. So I'm just going to write the function straight away. I'll be explaining as and when I write. So I'm going to create a function. So I'll type function, and my function name is split. It is going to take 2 arguments. One argument is input text, and the other argument is okay, I'll take 3 arguments. It can take a second argument as a character which it wants to split to. So let's say space. So I'll say split character. So it's a string that I'm going to take. Then the next one is index. So I'm taking this long. So when I pressed enter, it understands that I'm going to create a function, and it by itself puts this line called end function. So it is telling that we need to write whatever in between, and there is no spacing required, but for better understanding, it's always good to put the space. So I want this particular function to be automatically changing whenever I update any changes. So that's it's not mandatory. Okay, it's not mandatory. It just updates if there's any change or when you add a uh, new cell or new changes. So it's not mandatory, but it's good to give. Okay, now so I have got the input text as my value, and I'm going to split with respect to the character, split character, and I'm going to store it in a particular variable. So let me say the split variable as split array. So it's the syntax is dim split array as I'll say variant. A variant can store anything, like it can store any object, it can store any array, anything basically. So when we split it, it just push the data onto the particular variable. Now I'm going to split the input text. So I've got the option to split input text. It gives you, so VBA has an option called split. So um, it gives you, okay, so sorry, I would say my split because split is already available in VBA. So split is an inbuilt function, so I'll say my split. Okay, so I'm creating a split. Now the delimiter is my split character. If I press Control and space, it gives all the options. Now, so it basically splits into the particular variable. So that is done. Now what we need to do is we need to find the with respect to index. Now index takes from 0 to n. So the output variable again, so that will be my output variable as string. Control space will give you a index plus 1. So here y plus 1 I'm doing because if I enter 1, sorry, it will be minus 1. So minus 1. When I enter 1, I need the 0th index. Now I'm going to put this value back to my split. So I've done that just for easy understanding. So these things comes inside the function. Now I can try this in the immediate window. So if I say AB and then I'm going to split it with respect to space and I want the first one. Okay, let me try to understand what is exactly going on. Type search. All right, yeah. So the thing is, it is expecting range as an input, not text. So I'll just directly try it inside the Excel, and it'll be so. Earlier there was no option called my split. Now if I type my, it'll give you an option to. So again, we can use the fx and it gives us whatever the input we have put inside the VBA code. So the input text, we'll select this particular range. Split character, we'll say it's a space, and then we need the first index. You can see the output has already here data. So as and when we change it to 8, we get the uses, which we have already done over here. So this is one one way that you can create your own function. If you remember, Last time we had done a split of name. We have used a flash fill option. Now we have this particular function, and we can use the function to split the data. So as you can see, I've got the first name, sorry, and 2 will give me the last name. So this is the first name and last name. You can get it from the. So it's basically I've created a VBA function that I can use myself. So there are cases when you want to create your own functions to do things where you can create your own function and get the job done. And there are other ways. There are subroutines where you can get multiple things done. You can send emails using Excel, create reports, attach it to an email and send it, make it PDF and send it. So you can do many things with uh, this particular VBA function. So that's pretty much it. Um, there are a lot of things that I need to cover using VBA. There are you can do a number of things using VBA. This is a user from. I just want to give a feel of it. You can create labels. You can create text boxes. You can create buttons. You can create toggle bars. You can create option buttons. You can create a full set of dialog box with inputs and do various things using VBA. I'll quickly do this thing for sheet 5. Let's say you have a particular requirement, whatever data you type in, you want it to be capital letter. So you have worksheet worksheet change options. So whenever there is a change happens in the worksheet, you get the target, and then I don't want to cover everything here. So whenever there is a change happens, so it's basically pretty much it. Just don't care of these two lines over here. This is just target. So whenever there is a change happening in the Excel file in the particular sheet, it is observed within the target, and I'm just telling make it UCase. So whatever you type in the particular cell and press enter, it just converts it to capitals. So it just I would say one line of code that does this. So there are situations where you can use it when, let's say, one Excel file it has a form where you need a capital letter for the name. Everybody should enter only in capital letters. So you can apply this whenever one person enters in small letters, it converts it automatically to capital letters. So there are so many things that you can do in the change, or so whenever there's a pivot table change happens, what is to be done? Whenever you double click, let's say you double click and you want to go to sheet 1. So when you double click, sheet 1 got activate. So it just have and then cancel. Cancel equal to true. So I want to cancel the double click. So whenever I double click it, just goes to first sheet. So this is just an example I want to show. This is not useful anywhere, but you can do whatever you want. So I hope it's very clear. When I'm sheet 6 and I'm double clicking, let's say I'm double clicking this, it goes to sheet number 1. So see, one line of code you can do so many things. So you can do many things using VBA. Whatever you manually do on a repetitive basis, can be automated just by one click of a button. Can be done. So that's pretty much it about VBA. There are a lot of things that can be covered in VBA. Already we are overshooting. So 20 minutes past. I hope it's pretty clear. If there is anything, you can contact me. If there is anything that you want to know more, you can contact me. I can help you out. Over to you, Sachin.
Okay, Jitin, thank you. And I mean, yeah, I'll just try to wind it up. And yeah, of course, there are a lot of things which can be done in Excel.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
also has its own RPA tools and record macros. You can create your dashboards using Excel, which you're doing it in Tableau and Power BI. A lot of things can be done. So thank you for the session, Jitin. It was short, concise, and informative. Of course, we can't cover the entire MS Excel in just a single session. As I already
Exactly.
said, that MS Excel is like an ocean and looks very easy, but it has a lot of capabilities which needs to be mastered, and it can't be covered in just 1 or 2 hours. So thanks for sharing your knowledge with the viewers in this session, Jitin. We might plan for an advanced session someday later as a follow-up session to this one, but it all depends on our timings. But let me share a form so that people can fill it up. We can probably plan for an advanced Excel or a VBA specific or a Power BI session in the coming weeks. I would request you all to join our Telegram group where you all could get the latest updates on any such sessions, webinars, or any kind of online courses that we go through. The link to the group will be shared in the description below as a pinned comment. Maybe once the video goes live, because the video is live right now, but it won't be visible in the channel immediately. Maybe in 12 hours it will be visible. So yeah, I mean, we shall be sharing the form in the group itself, so be a part of that. And thank you all for joining this session. As I told, please join our Telegram group for future updates. I also have a session coming on 23rd December 2020, this Wednesday, on convolutional neural networks and many more such topics in this channel. So please subscribe to my channel, keep to keep me motivated. Do share my videos as much as possible and like the videos. Thank you, everyone. We'll keep the call open for maybe 2 minutes if anybody has any questions, and then we'll wind it up. Okay, anyways, we have our like my video's description is going to be a little bit big. There are a lot of playlists which has also been provided, but you will also find my LinkedIn link and Jitin's LinkedIn link. You can feel free to connect with us. And of course, if your questions are not answered here, maybe you can reach out to me or Jitin for any questions related to analysis, data science, machine learning, and related areas. Okay, guys, we were expecting it to be a 1.5 hour session, but we have extended it a bit. So, thank you, guys. Thank you for joining. And that's it. Thank you.